Greetings everyone. We are honorable members of the Young Voices of Africa, a forum established by one of the youngest African leaders, Mr. Kelvin Akpaloo, President and CEO of the Young Voices of Africa, YVA. The aim and objective of YVA is to help empower young Africans, which is not limited to enhancing female empowerment. This forum helps the African youths to voice out their various challenges and also provide solutions to our adversaries. To accomplish our set goals, the following people also played vital roles. Mr. Alhassan Kalon, co-founder and vice president of YVA. Madam Fatima Ismail, female president of YVA. Mr. Alimami F. Tarawali, chief ambassador of YVA. Mr. Yusuf Jallo, barrister of YVA, and Inspector Sulaiman Kuruma, editor and writer of YVA. Other ambassadors also include Mr. Mohammed Ski Kuruma, Alpheus Bobsi, Veronica Princess Fona, Salimatu Sharif, Amadou Mohamed Kuruma, Alusain Kalon, Ibrahim Makama Kabri, Lansanari Sensisi, Aminata Kaloko, Haja Yalamba Kalon, Salifu Tene Samura, Ibrahim Moiba. Our diaspora leaders also include Abdelbagi Hamad from Morocco, Rojas Kawunda from Malawi, Domos Alamani from Sudan, Saidu Bayo from the Gambia, Mamadou Kande from Senegal, Sheikh Amadou Mohamed from Senegal, Ihab from Morocco, Gezi and Billionaire Dan from Ghana. Yada yada yada. As part of our African youth goals, the YVA therefore presents to you an audio drama which relates to female empowerment in Africa, titled Mires of an African Woman. Mires of an African Woman. The play Mires of an African Woman narrates the story of a vibrant Mende woman, Ella Koblo Gulama, who became the first female Paramount Chief and Member of Parliament in the Republic of Sierra Leone. She was one of the wives of PC by Koblo Pat Bana II, a Timni chief of Parampama Simra chiefdom Putloko district. When her father, Julius Gulama, died, she was challenged by 15 buttered men who think a woman should not rule over men at Kaiyamba chiefdom. She fought very hard to ascend her father's throne and also overcome a treason trial of which she was wrongfully charged. Despite her gender, she was able to overcome her challenges and later become a prominent figure in the history of Sierra Leonean women and Africa at large. Act 1. Early and married life. On Wednesday, the 26th January 1921, Madam Ella Koblo Gulama was born at Kaiyamba, a Mende chiefdom found in Moyamba district, southern province of the Republic of Sierra Leone. She was the daughter of Paramount Chief Julius Gulama and chieftess Lucy Gulama, all of Kaiyamba chiefdom. She had 4 siblings, a sister named Lansana Gulama, 2 half-sisters, Mercy and Yebu, and a half-brother named Samuel, who were born and raised by one of Ella's father's junior wives, Lunia. As a girl aging, Ella was industrious, ambitious, outspoken, and much disciplined. She was deeply loved by her father, who made sure that, unlike other maidens in the land, she was educated. She attended the Harvard School for Girls in Moyamba and the Women's Teachers College, then at Rabe College in Freetown, and the rest is history. It was one fateful morning when the sky appeared to have taken on a spectacular hue. Men were seen handling machetes and hoes heading for their farms, while the women carried clay pots filled with water fetched from the stream. The voice of the town crier could be heard from all nooks and crannies of Kaiyamba, summoning village elders to meet at the chief's palace, as old men and women relaxed in their huts enjoying the sweet frenzy of the zephyr. It was rumored that strangers have come from the north to meet with the chief. Ella was busy pounding fufu when she saw her mother approaching.
Ella, my daughter.
Yes, Mom.
Meet us at your father's palace when you are done pounding the fufu. Your dad is already waiting to see you. We have an important issue to discuss, and it concerns you, my daughter.
Okay, Mom. I will be there as soon as possible.
Her mom left shortly after. Ella paused for a while. She tried to preempt about what could have been the reason for such an urgent call, but she could not figure out a thing. So she continued with her work. At the chief's palace, there are strangers dressed in royal robes who seem to have come from a distant place. PC Julius.
Oh, here she comes. Come close, my daughter, and have a seat. I summon you and the elders to this very important meeting to inform you about the purpose of our strangers. Our elders used to say, support for our children is not a matter of limiting their numbers in order to have the things that we desire. On the contrary, supporting our children means we are willing to do without for their benefit. My princess, the ultimate responsibility for your happiness lies with you. Make sure you do not outsource it to anyone else. This meeting is about you, Ella, and your consent will determine its outcome.
The chief then stood from his seat and poured wine on the floor as a toast to the ancestors. He then raised his fly whisk with both hands, giving praises to Ngewo, God Almighty. At this juncture, everybody at the palace bowed as a sign of paying homage to the chief. The chief seated and heads raised. The chief took a sip from his wine cup and turned towards his daughter.
My daughter, these strangers you have seen brought kola nuts, wine, shillings, cowries, white sheep, and other undisclosed items as our customs demand, and have asked for your hand in marriage to one of the wealthiest and the most powerful Timni chiefs in the northern part of Sierra Leone. His name is PC Koblo Patbana II, the 43rd Paramount Chief of Marampa Masimra chiefdom, and these strangers are his subjects.
As a chaste girl, Ella demanded guidance from her mother when it comes to marital experience, even though she has learnt about a woman's roles in her matrimonial home in Dia, Sunday, also called Zadeji, for female society. She turned to her mother, looking straight into her eyes. They gazed at each other for a while, and her mother beamed with pleasure. It is as though she had already consented. It's the confidence that every daughter desires from her trustee that adjusts the next drive. Ella then turned to her father. She could notice the love from his eyes and glanced at the strangers who had waited so long for her response. Ella.
I agree to marry him, Dad.
Hearing her response, the palace erupted into ecstasy. Everyone was happy. Tears ran down Ella's cheeks, but her mom consoled her. Without delay, matrimonial arrangements were made. In 1944, the couple got married. It was the greatest and one of the most celebrated marriages ever held at Kaiyamba at the time. After the marriage, PC by Koblo Patbana decides to return to his chiefdom. A message had already been sent to the chiefdom elders of Marampa Masimra to make the necessary arrangements to welcome him and his new wife when he returns. Having ingested his breakfast, PC by Koblo entered PC Julius's palace to discuss about his plan to return the next day. PC by Koblo.
Good morning, my in-law.
Cool nobleman, how was your night?
It was quite encouraging, my in-law. Lullabies from your daughter yesterday night lulled me to sleep. A happy man married the girl he loves. A happier man loves the girl he marries. Your daughter is outstanding, Chief Julius. I owe you a lot more.
Glad to hear short from you.
Thanks again, my in-law. I cherish the love, trust, and support you have given me all this while to accomplish my goal. Your daughter is such a pretty gem. I promise to take good care of her and love her even more.
I have not just given you my daughter, but myself to you too. Because my daughter means everything to me. I can't bear seeing her get hurt, and she had always been my hope.
I won't fail you in love. It shall be well.
I pray so.
Now that we have got married, I intend to live with my wife tomorrow. Our subjects are waiting to receive us sooner.
You can proceed, my in-law. That's what customs demand. You already have my blessings.
Thanks again, my in-law.
Always welcome, son.
That evening, the chief summoned his elders as usual to inform them of his in-law and daughter's desire to leave the following day. When that day reaches, the chief's compound was filled with people, the aged, youth, kids and friends of Ella all came to offer prayers and extend goodbyes to the couple. The palace soldiers of Kaiyamba held their luggage and other gifts received from indigenes of the chiefdom. PC Julius provided an escort team to accompany PC by Koblo and his entourage to Marampama Simra. Both the bride and groom exchanged goodbye hugs to each and every family member and some notable chiefdom elders before they left. At dusk, PC by Koblo and his new wife entered Marampama Simra chiefdom. They were welcomed by a crowd believed to have been waiting for their arrival since dawn. Different groups of dancers could be seen dancing in circles at the chief's palace. Some Poro men held flutes and turtle shells, while the Bondo women wore shakers. They were dancing to various sounds of locally made drums and musical instruments. The chief's most senior wife, Aja Yabum, welcomed the new bride and took her to her new room. Some of the chief's wives treated her scornfully, but she could not mind their sour looks. Celebrations continued to the next day. In all, PC by Koblo Pat Bernard II had a total of 17 wives. Years later, Madam Koblo Gulama experienced both the joys and pains of motherhood. From 1944 to 1952, Ella lived in Lonsar, Marampama Simra chiefdom. Being the most educated of the chief's wives, she became the chief's consort. She would travel with him in court and on private meetings. However, few weeks after her marriage, Ella started facing a lot of marital challenges in her new home. Some of the chief's wives were unhappy with her inclusion in such a harem. Despite her education, she came from a noble family and is highly esteemed by her husband. This makes her to be hated by some of the chief's wives, but she chooses to turn a blind eye on that situation and remain focused on her marriage. One day, when she was privileged to host her husband at her apartment for a fortnight, she woke him up from sleep at midnight to question him about certain things bothering her. Ella.
Sorry for waking you up at this hour of the night, my love. There is something bothering me lately and I would like to seek
solace from you.
What is it there? Feel free to tell me what is worrying you, honey.
It is nothing great. It's just that some of your wives, especially Mabinti, Yankade and Adama, seem to be jealous of me. Sometimes they look at me scornfully when you move with me around or introduce me to strangers. It's not that I am afraid of responding to some of their hints against me, but I have respect for my husband, and I have been trained by my parents to ignore certain things that have the tendency to tarnish my character.
I understand, my dear. Initially, I knew some of them did not want me to marry another wife, especially a woman of your caliber, but it is common for them to feel jealous. Just don't mind them. I will also find ways to caution them individually in private.
It's okay. I trust you, dear.
So, can we rest now?
Yeah, but what is that sound I am hearing? It's like someone is whistling outside.
I don't think that sound is coming from someone. Besides, our people believe that whistling at night invites snakes and evil spirits. The sound I am hearing could be an owl's hoot. I could also hear dogs howling and crows cawing from afar. And according to our tradition, hearing such sounds at night is a symbol of bad omen. I pray that Kuruma Saba, God Almighty, save us from any spiritual attack that has the tendency to bring forth stagnation in our family.
May it be so, my husband.
The chief started singing lullabies in his Timni language, which lulled Ella to sleep. Years later, the couple were blessed with 7 children, including Francis Obai, Jubilee, Alex Sako, June, Julius Mada, and Jilo. June, Julius Mada, and Jilo grew into adulthood, whilst the other died mysteriously. Ella was multilingual and spoke fluent English, Mende, Timni, and Shabro. However, their cross-tribal union was a shining example of national cohesion. Act 2. The fight to ascend her father's throne. 5 years after her marriage to Chief Koblo Patbana II, Ella's father, the king of Kaiyamba, died. Ella returned home to compete against 15 buttered men vying for her late father's throne. The 15 buttered men did not want Ella to be Paramount Chief of Kaiyamba because no woman had ruled their chiefdom before. Gbongbovi, Kenji Bume, Mboyawa, Yoko, Blangu, Mbayenge, and 9 others tried severally to keep Ella away from the throne. But Ella believed that a woman's place was wherever she chose. The political atmosphere was tough and the election was very contentious at Kaiyamba. But Ella had courage. She knew she had an unblemished character and was generally loved by the people. Her dad won the hearts of the people during his time. He was brave, kind, and firm, and the people had always wished his hire, Ella, could replicate him. Among late PC Julius Gulama's children, such qualities were only seen from Ella. It was during the winter break, and the 16 candidates had already started campaigning. Though Kaiyamba had 7 ruling houses at the time, Ella fought very hard to succeed her father. Hence, the 2 years battle to ascend the throne began. Ella had already summoned the people during the last week of the campaigns, and they all gathered at the market square, awaiting her address. It didn't take long when Ella arrived at the market square. The Bundu, Poro, Hunting, Wunde, Oje, Matoma, and other traditional dancing groups dominated the aura, with each society group doing its best to gain public attention. Seeing Ella approaching, the crowd burst into uproars. Everybody tried to get a glimpse of her. Others rushed to get hold of her. Her delegates were mostly honorable men that had previously served her late father. Her soldiers were very smart and prevented people from obstructing her while climbing the wooden stage already constructed by her loyalists. Having reached the vertex, she stood facing the people. Ella.
Greetings, my people.
The crowd responds with uproars.
Audience, please. Please lend me your ears. Audience, please.
The crowd couldn't stop shouting.
Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray!
Hip, hip, hip.
Hooray! And there was silence everywhere.
Fellow Kaiyambians, I greet you all. I, Madam Ella Koblo Gulama, daughter of the late PC Julius Gulama, have come in peace to ascend my late father's throne. You already know the kind of person I am. You already know that I am competent and I can deliver. I have always prayed to Yehovah, God Almighty, to help me in fulfilling my promises to the people of Kaiyamba. Meeting your basic needs shall become my priority. I won't stand to see our chiefdom go into the hands of sardonic elites who have the flair to derail fortunes and disrupt the peace and harmony the people of Kaiyamba used to relish. As such could even deter the development of our land. I am a woman and my opponents have made a lot of negative comments against me because of my gender. But I have come to change the narrative. Some leaders are born women, so culture cannot make people. People make culture. If it is true that the full humanity of women is not our culture, then we can and must make it our culture. Both men and women should feel free to be sensitive. Both men and women should feel free to be strong. It is time that we will perceive gender on a spectrum, not as two opposing sets of ideas. My family had always served you well. My late grandfather, PC Momo Gulama, and my dad had always ensured the people of Kaiyamba enjoyed freedom, love and respect. I have come to maintain that bond and do even more. My husband, PC by Koblo Batbanatu of Marampa Masimra Chiefdom, in the north, and some government officials have pledged to support me in developing our chiefdom. I have also prioritized education in our land. This will also encourage both the girls and the disabled to attend school and learn new ideas. I shall also embark on infrastructural development, electricity, and the construction of roads in our chiefdom, if only I am given the chance. Let's forget about other candidates whose message has always been altering ill statements against my person. They have nothing more to offer. It's a shame to hear them speak negatively about me to such an extent that they even intimidated, threatened, and even plotted to kill me. 15 men against a woman is quite absurd. Yet I stood taller than them. To ameliorate to this, the aged one said, no matter how strong and old a man grows, he cannot deny that he was once carried on the back of a woman. I don't need to prove points that what a man does, a woman can do better. But to know how best a cat can dance, invite him to a rat meeting. So people can campaign to break me, collaborate to alienate me, even worse, create false testimonies to orchestrate my downfall. But if I am destined for greatness, I will be great regardless, and I will never give up. I thank you all for the love, respect, effort and confidence shown, and I promise to never fail you. Let's keep spreading the message. Days from now, you will know your new Paramount Chief. This is a battle we cannot lose. So it's either we win or we win.
The crowd erupted again. The jubilant crowd couldn't stop chanting Ella's name, and the tintinabulations lasted for hours. The sounds of local drums, shofar, sumponia, cecilin, and flutes kept whirling ears. The people continued singing and dancing till dusk. The 15 battered men could not believe what they saw. They were extremely worried. Restlessness could also be sensed from their various households. That night, the 15 battered men held a meeting together to decide against a tough and influential opponent. They agreed that if none of them could win or match Ella's prowess, they must give their support to one person, and Bombovi was the one selected as an alternative solution. According to them, a woman had never ruled their land, and it would be a shame to see a woman rules over men. They all agreed to summon the people again. This time, they aimed at countering Ella's statements made during her latest campaign and see how best they could convince the people to stop following her. The meeting was slated to take place on Aluma or Market Day in order to get their desired momentum and gain public interest as well. However, few people responded to their call. There seemed to be less interest from majority of the people. In various aspects, Ella's crowd and support remained unmatched. Some of them decided on making physical attacks on Ella, but whenever they tried, Ella's soldiers would ensure that they were well beaten. Their camps became very worried as they kept losing grounds on her. Some youths even took the onus to voluntarily serve as guards to Ella, which also makes her opponents suffer heart palpitation. The 15 battered men decided to meet at Gbongbovi's house to plan on their next move. They made cool responses. Gbongbovi.
Greetings to you, nobles. I say thanks to you all for coming. Here are some kola nuts, a jar filled with palm wine and pepper soup for those interested. My wife, Asi, has also sliced some mango fruits for us.
Blango.
Thanks very much for the food offered. We pray the gods help us achieve our goal.
Mboyawa.
May it be so, my brother.
Gbongbovi.
My fellow men, we all know that in a court of fowls, the cockroach never wins a case. We have seen how Ella had manipulated the people. She used tricks and affluence to turn the minds of the people against us. But we should not give in. We should prove to her and her loyalists that we are honorable men with infallible characters. We are here to brainstorm and bring forth solutions to such an existing mishap pervading our chiefdom. We are already running out of time, and so must we not be too complacent about it.
Ngebe. I hold up the motion, my brother. From what I'm seeing, she has also won the hearts of the majority of the traditional authorities, TAs, who are eligible to vote for the chieftaincy. Most of them have become loyalists to that cocker.
Our people used to say a monkey that eats grass instead of banana is a goat. That woman has crossed limits, and that is quite intolerable for her to challenge us in any form. But he who swallows a coconut have absolute trust in his highness. It is high time we started acting as men, or else we will soon start losing positions of men to our wives and kids, whose sinews and ribs are unmatched with ours.
Kubai.
Oh, Koka, my brother, you like speaking in riddles. The best solution is to let our loyalists disrupt the voting process when they start noticing defeat. After the first round of voting, if no candidate reaches the constitutional threshold of 55% to be announced winner, then we will shift to the next plan, which is to either rig the elections or entirely disrupt its process. If there is going to be a rerun of elections, we all know that our support should be thrown at one person, and Gbongbovi, the strongest of us all, had already been assured to lead us. If we keep to our bond and remain unfazed, Ella won't win against us.
Ngakwi.
This is the first time I have heard you saying words of bravery. At least there is a sense in Kubai's speech. I support the motion.
Benge.
The most disappointing thing is seeing my wife, Bindu, supporting her fellow woman. It is shame that some of us could not even convince our kids about our preparation and the possibility of ascending the throne.
Kenji Bume.
A flea can trouble a fly more than a fly can trouble a flea. So let's forget about our women and kids for now and focus on the throne.
Mboyawa.
Indeed, let's try to conclude on this matter. We hope not to lose grounds on this. We should not underestimate her influence on the people, as the agent used to say. He who thinks he is leading and has no one following him is only taking a walk. So on us lies our destiny. In 3 days' time, campaigns would be suspended, and 2 days after, the voting exercise would start at 6 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. on the same day, and the counting would also commence thereafter.
Alas, Ella's opponents could not end their meeting as one of them received sad news. The eldest and only son of Silo's children, Tommy, has passed away. As one of the opponents contesting the elections, Silo got shattered by such an unexpected predicament. He nearly collapsed hearing such news, but his colleagues fought very hard to ensure that he was safe. According to source, it was reported that his son got drowned at the Kaiyamba River while striking a beautiful lady in the nearby village. It's not a mockery, but Tommy did follow his father's step of being a phylogynist at Kaiyamba. His father already had 15 wives and 40 children, whilst Tommy had 7 kids and had already impregnated 6 new girls before his death. All of Ella's opponents later left the meeting point together with Silo to see Tommy's corpse laid at the market square. The next day, the dead man was laid to rest and everybody turned their attentions to the coming election. It was on a Saturday morning and the people could be seen getting prepared in their various homes to follow the trend of the much anticipated elections ever conducted at Kaiyamba chiefdom. At dawn, the traditional authorities, TAs, who are eligible to vote, took advantage of the sweet frenzy of the zephyr blowing through the dancing forest and hilltops as they rushed to form queues at the Kaiyamba Community Center. That was the day of the elections, the day the people have long waited for. The electioneering process was going smoothly without a major setback. Observers from both government and non-governmental organizations, police officers and other security agencies were also deployed to prevent violence and ensure that the election is free, fair and credible. The high security presence makes it very difficult for bullies to harass, pester or provoke other people. On the evening of that Saturday, 1953, when the last votes were cast, the counting of votes immediately resumed. The people of Kaiyamba gathered around to witness the counting process, which was done publicly to ensure fairness and transparency. To everybody's greatest surprise, Ella won the votes beyond imagination. The 15 sad men were well beaten. Ella left no room for a rerun. She won the election with a whooping percentage of 80, a margin that left even the election observers beat. The Elections Management Body, EMB, declared Ella winner, and the crowd erupted. Her soldiers charged forward and grabbed her. Ella could not believe her people could be this happy. Her soldiers lifted her to the sky and paraded her home, with her feet barely reaching the ground. The losers eloped the scene, one after the other. Some could have even vanished if they had got the chance. As the newly elected Paramount Chief of Kaiyamba, her traditional functions are to protect the lives and properties of her subjects, maintain law and order, and make laws for the social and economic well-being of her people. She should also defend the integrity of the country and dispense justice as the chief judge of the land. She is expected to be kind and generous, fair and just. She would sit court as the supreme judge and is supposed to dispense justice without fear or favor. As a traditional ruler, she should also uphold the traditions and customary practices of the chiefdom, act as a custodian of lands, and also serve as an agent of administration for the central government. Chieftaincy institution does serve as a convenient agency of the central government, or better still, instrument of transmission belt, through which the central government can pass information of government policies to the people. Sadly, something unexpected happened. The 15 buttered men, together with some corrupt elders of Kaiyamba, refused to give the royal staff, the emblem of the seat of the throne, to Ella. That evening, Ella's adversaries met at Kagburu, a place near Kaiyamba, to decide on their next plan. Suzanne.
Greetings to you all.
The men responded to Suzanne in low tones.
Fellow men, in the face of betrayal, we have the power to rise above and become stronger than ever before. We should not cry because of them. They are not worth it. We may cry because our delusion of who they were was shattered by the truth of who they are. But I am unmoved. If we cry because we miss the sun, our tears won't let us see the moon. I could not believe the likes of Sobel, Anes, and Mohammed could betray their fellow men. They betrayed all of us sitting here today. But this is the time to show prominence. We must now stick together than ever before. That is the only way to help us regain our respect, as it was once said. When the eyes are lifted up, the nose is lifted too. Most of the stakeholders we once trusted voted against us, but it is good we held the royal staff, because giving it to her simply means consent to allowing a cockroach rules over cups.
Talk boy.
You have said it all, Suzanne, my brother. Yesterday was the most embarrassing day of my life. I could not even sleep or take a sip of drink. I even detest the sight of food, as the scare of yesterday's defeat still inches my mind. To ameliorate to this, I even lost bets to my wives and Kate, who affirmed that Ella would win the election.
Everyone burst with laughter. Suriba. Enough of your drama, Talk boy. This is no child's play. If you are not salt to make sauce, do not be fly to spoil. Do you know what it means for men of higher reputations to lose to a battle axe like Ella? You should be ashamed of yourself. Blanco.
Don't take things too passionate, Surida. The drunkard only vents his mind.
There was laughter again. Lavalley.
Let us brainstorm on the issue at hand and let us stop running in circles.
Bongo V.
Well said, my brother. Let's focus on the intent of our meeting. I heard that Ella has threatened to take legal action against us if we refuse to hand over the royal staff to her. We should not be scared about it, and we should refuse to give in, regardless of the challenges that may arise. We should never let her get the royal staff. If at all she chooses to rule, let her use a pestle to rule her people, not this precious staff.
Everybody applauded in support of what Bungu V had just said. It was unanimously agreed among them that Ella should not be given the royal staff, and they were ready to challenge her to the latter. Being the warrioress that she was, Ella took them to a court in Britain, where it was ruled that her subject, the buttered men, had to return her staff, which they later did. Eventually, after her thank you speech to the people, she worked tirelessly to make Kaiyamba a beacon of light. She empowered women in her chiefdom, brought formal education to Mwamba districts, supported girl-child education, installed electricity, and made major reforms in the fight against women's violence at Kaiyamba. Act 3. Her political career. Ella Koblo Gulama had an illustrious career in politics. She acted as a servant all her life. As a pioneering female leader, she solidified her place in history when she was elected as the first woman to serve in a legislative body in 1957 and the second in West Africa after Mabel Dove Dangwa of Ghana. For 7 years, Ella was the only woman in Sierra Leone's legislative body. As a member of the Sierra Leone People's Party (SLPP), which her late father, PC Julius Gulama, helped establish, she was re-elected to Sierra Leone's House of Representatives as Paramount Chief member for Mwamba district in 1962. The same year, Prime Minister Sir Milton Magai made her a cabinet minister, and she became the first woman to hold a ministerial post in sub-Saharan Africa at the time. In the 1967 general elections, Ella regained her seat and was serving in the government of Sir Albert Magai. However, the opposition All People's Congress APC party had narrowly won a parliamentary majority. A power struggle between the candidates, Albert Magai of the SLPP and Siaka Province Stevens of the APC, ensued, destabilizing the country, thus resulting in a rapid succession of military coups. When the APC eventually came to power and began their 30-year grip on Sierra Leone, Ella was accused of collaborating with her brother-in-law, Brigadier David Lansana, first commander of the Sierra Leone army, in his coup d'etat against Siaka Province Stevens in 1968. Things started getting sour for her. Her properties were taken away and a new Paramount Chief was selected in place of Ella. She was, according to many, wrongfully sent to Kaiyamba Road prison and tried her for treason for 33 months. While she was in prison, her husband, PC by Koblo II, was appointed into Stevens' cabinet. Her estranged husband's acceptance of the position strengthened the innuendo that Ella's relationship with Sir Albert Magai was much more than a professional one. Ella was later exonerated and released. She was briefly forced into political exile when Sir Albert Magai lost power, and in 1975, her brother-in-law, Brigadier David Lansana, was executed. Ella Koblo Gulama later revamped her political career and became the leader of the APC Women's Organization of Moyamba District in the early 1970s, having previously served as president of the Federation of Women's Organization in Sierra Leone from 1960 to 1967. She regained that position in 1985 and served as president until 1991. On the 29th May 1988, Siaka Province Stevens died in Freetown. After his death, Ella contested again for the crown in 1992 and made a statement comeback by winning 98% of the total votes. She regained her throne and became the Paramount Chief of Kaiyamba for the second time. During her time, she collaborated with several NGOs to develop the infrastructural and agriculture of her chiefdom and district. She also had the streets of Kaiyamba paved and also hired a British construction company to install clean water taps. It was also a moment wherein the country was experiencing its 11-year civil war, which was led by the Revolutionary United Front RUF commander Fode Sibana Sanko. The war broke out on the 23rd March 1991 and ended in 2002. It was estimated that over 50,000 people were killed, thousands were maimed, and their limbs amputated. During that period, the RUF ravaged Sierra Leone and devastated Moyamba districts, killing tens of thousands of people and destroying everything Ella had built. The rebels started a campaign to assassinate every Paramount Chief in the country. Chief Bunduka of Kaiyamba district and Chief Bonafide of Bo were brutally executed by the rebels. Ella's chiefdom was also attacked. The rebels set fire to her compound and burned it to the ground. Ella fled to Freetown, the capital city, to seek refuge. When the war was over, Ella later returned to Kaiyamba and began the reconstruction of her chiefdom and Moyamba district as a whole. She was able to continue her service to the country with the Sierra Leone Export Development and Investment Corporation SLEDIC, and also as one of the directors of the Sierra Leone Commercial Bank Limited. Sadly, Ella's health started deteriorating. She later died on the 10th September 2006 in Kaiyamba Chiefdom, Moyamba district. It was such a devastating moment for the people of Kaiyamba. She was, however, laid to rest in her district, which marks the end of her era. An arable place once admired soothes people's minds with boons so desired. In spite of the boogaboos she stood, and on pools she made bad men lose. Her lofty grail brought succus to the locals. As her marriage blossoms, her face reflects her portals. Her visual bulbs could scare away the yobos and give them pose, help them dance to the gogos. With so many honors won, her agenda seems undone. Despite her many trials, no page was left unturned. A lady in her 90s grew sick and yearned to sleep, and in the very end, got housed in a Tolos deep. Till we meet again, Ella.